Man to man, combat hand to hand, hands locked, ready for the last stand, elbow drops, kicks fade bang. If I connect you, levitate, better settle mate, lights out, knocked out by the heavyweight.
It's Toby from Heavyweight MMA here today with Blood Diamond from the CKB gym, up and rising, potential UFC star in the making. We're looking forward to seeing big things from you, man.
Hey, man, it's good to be here.
So right now, are you at the CKB gym, bro, or are you at home?
I'm just at home. Yeah,
at home.
We're at the current moment, we are still not allowed to use the gym because of the COVID rules and all. So just still chilling at the moment.
That kind of sucks, man. It's been a big ordeal the last couple of years. It's not the best profession to be in if you're dealing with the COVID situation, right?
Yeah, unfortunately. Yeah, but hey, you gotta do what you gotta do what you have to do. But hopefully something comes up soon, and we get into training camp soon.
That's it, man. And hey, I was reading that you were potentially matched up with a guy called Orion Kosi for UFC 271. Is that correct?
Yes. Yeah. What I know about him, not much yet. To be honest, I'm just gonna leave it all to the coaches, and they do all the video studies and all, and then they'll just let me know what I need to do. But for now, just focus on myself. Just help get myself to improve, get better, and just basically being prepared. Yeah,
I like your mindset on that, man. I was listening to you talk on some of your interviews, and I like the way that you don't mind who the opponent is, man. That your journey is about, bettering yourself, and you back yourself enough. You've got strong enough, psychological side that no matter which opponent, you're ready to have a go, and you want to show yourself in front of them. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that all came from the years I stayed in China. I used to fight quite often, at least a minimum of 2 fights a month, and at that place and at the level I was at, I had no time to be studying people, so it was one of those, okay, just focus on my kind of training, what I need to add to it. Some people would let me know, okay, this is what this is his habits, this is what you could do, and all that, and I'll just add that into my training, and just but still just building myself up. And for me, all the learning was happening as I'm fighting. It's just focus on myself, and something will happen, something good happens.
That's it, man. And it's kind of interesting how CKB has a bit of a strong link with China, right? With yourself and Brad and Israel Adesanya all having fought extensively on the China circuit. And also, like where I am working at the moment was where there was a bit of a start out with Legend FC with a few of the guys as well, like Dan Hooker and Kaikar of France also fought over here. So you guys all have some sort of link with China, man.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
And you stayed out here quite a bit when you're doing the circuit, because like you said, you're fighting every other week sometimes, right? How did you find it? And what city were you staying in back then?
So when I stayed in the province of what is it called, Henan province. The city was Zhengzhou. I was there for about 3 years. First time moving there, man, it's a world of its own, compared to what I've experienced. In New Zealand and my home, where I was born in Zimbabwe. It's just different. Everything about it is different. So it was just it's something to get used to. And I guess being away from my teammates, it was, I quickly had to adjust, and and also the language barrier, eventually you pick up a few things, I got to the point I could get a taxi to take me where I needed to go, or order my favorite foods. So yeah, it was an interesting but exciting journey. You know, I
And
wouldn't, I can never like, I wouldn't change that for anything. You know.
it's very interesting, man, because usually like people that are fighting, they usually go to a country, spend a couple of days, maybe fight, maybe stay 1 or 2 days and then bail again. And they don't really get a chance to learn anything about the country at all. And you to do it that way, you know, not only you get a chance to really understand a culture and everything, you know, you're also dealing with a completely different circumstance outside your comfort zone, right? Trying to survive in that alien kind of territory. It's a very different sort of way of fighting, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. You just need, I guess, you need to be able to quickly adjust. You know, you can't. You have to be a bit more open-minded, and yeah, being ready for change. I mean, change is a scary thing, right? But hey, sometimes you do what you got to do, and yeah, because of that, I got the experience I needed, and put me in a fight situation. I'm quite comfortable. So like that's what I took out of there. Yeah.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, being in that different country really, for me personally, I've been over here for more than a decade, and it really changes your mindset, right? Because for me, small town sort of guy from Australia coming over to China, I didn't know anything really about Asia and Asian people so much, and
Yeah.
you know, you learn that people actually act differently, think differently, do things differently, and it kind of, you know, it can make you grow a little bit, I think.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, like different cultures. Yeah. And I mean, it opens up your mind a bit more, you know. Uh, like for me, okay, I'll give an example. For me, moving from Zimbabwe to New Zealand, that was the first time, you know, just like it's like a bit of a shock, you know, uh, being out of your comfort zone. One minute you're in a place full of a lot of African people, and then you get into a place where there are barely any African people. The high school I went to, it was me and my brother who were the only Africans, and it was just like, oh wow, damn, okay, you know. Uh, so yeah, it's just a matter of being open to ad adapt to different situations, you know. So
Yeah, man.
yeah.
Hey, I wanted to actually that leads into I wanted to ask you about your life in Zimbabwe. Like, how long did you stay in Zimbabwe before you came to New Zealand, and what was it like living there?
Um, I left Zimbabwe when I was 13. Yeah. To be honest, if like for me, I mean, I felt like I was comfortable, you know. The little things in life which we had, like the house I lived in had electricity, it had water. Um, we used to have food on the table. So, you know, just those small basics. I was okay with that. Uh, like another thing, like we just had a black and white TV, right? For a bit, for the first half of my life, and you know, everyone at school be like talking about color TVs, and in my head, I'm like, what you mean, you know? And then I tell them I was not black and I was just black and white, and they'll be just, oh, that's sad, that's poor. And I'm like, nah. I still watch the same things you watch. So, you know, I think for me it was more of the mindset of like we've got something, you know. Uh, I've got a roof over my head. Why do I need to complain? You know, I was happy with that. I had my grandparents who raised me, and I'm just like, oh, it's cool. Like everything was good, you know. So I can't really complain about growing up in Zimbabwe, really. Yeah.
Yeah. And what are the differences like when you arrived in New Zealand? What were the main sort of differences that you noticed for yourself, other than like you said, you're before you're the mass, lots of dark skinned people, then you come to New Zealand and not the same. Apart from that, what other sort of cultural differences did you find?
Um, yeah, I realized how kicked back the Kiwis were. and I'm just like, they're real laid back, chilled, and not everyone is like in a rush, and not everyone's hustling and bustling, just people are just living the chilled out. But in saying that, the first town I went to was a small town, Blenheim. So when I was in Zimbabwe, I lived in the big city. But moving, that was another thing as well. Like, being in a small town, everyone knows everyone, and yeah, it was just like this one big community. So yeah, it was just how they were real laid back. That was something interesting.
Yeah, man.
Uh,
And what when you were in New Zealand, you eventually decided to learn a martial art, and you said you were doing it because of self-defense. Was that because of any situation that you found yourself in from Zimbabwe or from being in New Zealand? Did you get picked on, anything like that led you to do it?
yeah, I mean, sometimes new things or something different, it scares some other people. So uh, yeah, I got picked on quite a bit in high school, right? But the way I saw it, because well, even in Zimbabwe, you get picked on, you get hazed. It's like it almost just felt like it's like tradition. The older ones will pick on you, but it just bothered me. It was not just like the way they picked on me. It was more. It became like, because I'm African, right? So I'm like, why does that like make a difference? Before, like when I was in Zimbabwe, someone would pick on me, they'll be like, "Oh yeah, you short." That's understandable. Yeah, I'm short. Yeah, that's what it is. Uh, but here, being picked on the color of my skin, that was just like, what the heck? But then I moved. I left high school. I'm in university. I'm like, okay, now we're adults. No one's gonna pick on you. It's people are more grown. And then I've found myself in situations where there were other people who were I was still getting picked on, and I'm just like, "Oh, that's crazy, that's mad." Um, then I I'm a terrible runner. I don't know how to run. I don't like it. Let's just say that. So I'm like, I'm not gonna be running away from people, and I'm not gonna let them pick on me. So why not just learn some sort of martial art? And of course, as kids, you always watch like Jackie Chan movies and Bruce Lee, whatnot, and you're like, oh yeah, I want to learn something like that. And then yeah, came across CKB, and then gave it a go. And yeah, so as I was doing it, I was also trying to get fit as well, get in shape. Because lifting weights, I tried it, but I could not be consistent with it. So I'm like, let me try just that passion of being able to defend myself, and learning a new skill. So that made me push forward, and yeah, learned how to spar, and then got offered like a little novice fight. Well, okay, cool. Just and then it's addictive. You have one fight and then you want more. You want more. Get offered like a New Zealand title. Oh, okay, this is fun. Just yeah, and now we're here.
And it's an awesome story because you mentioned that, first of all, you mentioned that back then, probably because of the situation, you weren't so confident inside yourself. You said you're also
Yeah,
110 kilos, man, which is pretty interesting, right? Big boy getting into the
yeah,
CKV gym as a big boy, learned to self-defense and also drop some weight. But the interesting part about it is that you, through training and that, it was something that it actually kind of resonated with you, like you felt an interest in it, because you said normally you lose
yeah.
interest in things, right? But this is something
I
that you
did it. Yeah.
started and you didn't want to stop. You wanted to keep going. Maybe you felt something in the ring that empowered you, made you feel better than you felt before, and it kept you going. It's kind of interesting story.
Yeah, man. The thing is, like, you gotta take time to know yourself, and like, out of a lot of things, like as a kid, I've tried a lot of sports. I've tried basketball, I've tried tennis, I've tried hockey, I even tried chess. I'm not that good, but I just tried everything. But it's just I tried soccer, I tried rugby, but there was just something about kickboxing. We just wanted, I just wanted more. I just kept on wanting more and more. And yeah, it got to one point. Like for me, I felt like I'm at the top. Like I'm at a good place. I made a good legacy in New Zealand. I'm now getting known. Oh damn, this is cool. And then just kept on pushing, wanting more. It's just wanting more. So I was just directing my energy to this, to fighting. And yeah, just I still want more. So I'm just gonna go as far as I can. And yeah.
Yeah, man, that's awesome. Like you, again, talking about your own personal like psychology and mindset. You started and you keep pushing yourself, and as you mentioned a few times, you don't set limits. You're not setting limits on yourself. Like, okay, I'm going to go to this stage and it's finished. You just want to be the best you can be, right? So you keep on working and you keep seeing yourself getting better. So there is no limit to how good you can get, right? In your mind.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, I mean that for me. I see it as evolution. You start something and then you keep going. This is the thing in life. Learning will never stop. You'll never stop learning. I mean, as long as you have time, you'll never stop learning. You'll keep on learning. There's always something new to learn. There's so many ways to throw a jab, and I don't know all of them. Okay, so just just knowing that makes me want to learn more. Okay, we've managed to get here. Let's go to the next stage. So that that's just how I feel about that.
Yeah. And the evolution that you're talking about, that actually kind of trying to evolve in yourself kind of paves the way from being a high level kickboxer to then extending yourself into the next realm, which is the MMA realm, right? Because so many more things to think about in MMA than there is in stand-up. Like you said, stand-up's complicated enough. You can learn a million ways to throw a jab, and now you're going to throw into the mix everything else, using your whole body to do completely different things. How has that transition and when did you start like thinking that would be a transition? Actually, you did say that. You said Coach Oyama inspired you to look into MMA, right?
Yeah. In so my coach Twister, he's the one. He used to train with Coach Oyama, so he used to talk about, okay, I'll take you guys to LA one day, and yeah, you guys get to see what it's like. And then he took us through. But initially, when I went there, I was just going there for kickboxing, and at that time, my goal was to fight in glory. Because that was at the top of kickboxing. I'm like, oh damn, yeah. I used just wanted to get into it. And as I was there, because I went with another training partner, and he was into MMA as well. So I did my kickboxing stuff and then I'll be waiting for him, watching him do MMA. I'm like, oh man, this, you get the like, I feel I want to learn this. Like, it's not too late for me. I still got time. Why not? Then I talked to Coach Oyama and just said, okay, yeah, why not? Then slowly we started building and building up with the jiu-jitsu and all. And you can imagine as a kickboxer going to the ground, that is fish out of water, man. But again, for me, like I said, me wanting to learn and just having that hunger to learn something new. I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna give up on this. And as usual, I got tapped out a lot of times. Like if anything, that just drove me to want to learn more. I'm like, okay, how did it get me there? You know, one thing I had to do was to put my pride aside. And I'll be like, yeah, I need this is something interesting. And then I started picking it up bit by bit, and then got into the wrestling, and I'm just like, oof, it's a different world out here. So yeah,
Lots
just had to do bit by bit. Yeah.
to learn, man. How do you find your kickboxing style translates to MMA? I was watching. I mean, I've watched a few of your fights on King of the Ring and that, and I think it probably translates pretty well to the MMA cage, right?
Yeah, I mean, like just like anything else. Okay, kickboxing is my strength, so like that's going to be my bread and butter, right? Yeah, I mean, there's a few minor adjustments I have to do. It's nothing crazy, but there are a few things I need to adjust. Uh, but I think yeah, it should be. I think it'll translate very well.
Yeah, man.
With a few fights I've had, it wasn't too bad. So we'll see. We'll see.
Actually, just one thing that kind of sprang to mind when I was watching fights before, you do that head kick. Do you know Peter Aerts, of course, yeah? Peter Aerts.
Yeah.
Your head kick kind of reminds me of Peter Aerts, the way you kind of shield the kick with your hand to the head and then throw it up. Is that any relation to him or just your own thing, man?
It was just in my mind. I'm just like blind your opponent just before you attack. I'm not gonna. Okay, for me, I struggle. I struggle with watching sports, even MMA. I struggle with that. Most of the times when I'm watching like UFC, it's one of my teammates fighting. Um, so like, unfortunately, I've not watched a lot of these other fights, so I couldn't say I got it from. I mean, yeah, there's certain things I've seen from other fighters and all, but it's mostly trial and error, and what I'm being taught, by my coaches.
Yeah,
Um,
it's kind of interesting. You said with Carlos Ulberg, you were sitting with him in an interview, and you said that you guys don't really watch fighting and stuff. It's kind of funny, right? Like that.
yeah, yeah. I mean,
That's something you don't want to do. Like you do it all day, every day. You don't really want to watch it, I guess.
not, it's yeah, it's, like some people watch it religiously. I mean, fair enough. Each to their own. Um, I mean, for me, it's yeah, like I said, either my teammates fighting, or maybe it's a social event, like we're all catching up and watching fights here. But otherwise, I struggle to just sit there by myself and watch fights, unless like my coach is like, "Oh, look at this fight," and stuff. Um, so the way I see it is like my coaches, they know me very well, so if they were to recommend me to watch something, they see something that I can learn off them. So that's why I'm like, okay, cool. I'll watch it, pick a few things, and then edit to my arsenal. And yeah,
Yeah, man. And your career, we haven't really talked about your career of stand-up fighting is over 100 competition fights, right? Professional
yeah.
fights. And do you keep like a record of it, or because it was just so fast and happening, you just roll with it and didn't really bother at the time to keep a record of all the people that you fought, the results, etc.?
Yeah, I got to the point. Like I said, it was my first year. I kept a record of some sort, but you get to the point like I'm fighting next week. I'm fighting next week. I'm fighting the next week. I'm just crap. It'll be all right. Just for priorities. So my priority was getting that experience, and yeah, getting all those fights in. So I'm just cool. And a lot of them, I'm in China, so of course the majority of the times I'm fighting Chinese opponents, and can you imagine trying to remember every Chinese guy I fought? Yeah, it'll be a mission. So I'm just like,
Even writing the name down, bro. You can't write the name down unless you got someone to help you, because everything will be advertised in Chinese, written in Chinese. You don't even recognize your own name in there, right?
yeah, exactly. Yeah, so it was just like, and another thing which I realized at one point was this is how it felt to me. Like when I was in China, they got me there as a sacrificial lamb kind of thing, because they really did not promote me. They didn't promote me that much, and I just keep on fighting. So it was just like, man, they don't really care much about me. They're only focusing to build their fighters' record and all. So that just, for me, I was just like, okay, then screw that. Screw checking the records. Just focus on getting that experience, you know. Some of the fights I lost in China, like if you watch it, you're just like, really?
Yeah.
It was just, if they made it through the whole 3 rounds, they win. If they get their ass whipped for 3 rounds, they have won. And I'm just like, but Eugene, I was talking to Eugene as well, and I'm like, yo, this is what's happening, man. What the heck? It's just like, because I got real. It gets emotional when you bust your ass so much and you don't get the result. You know, it's so discouraging. But he's just like, yo, man, you're in a place where you're doing something not many people can do. All you have to do is train and fight. That's it. You're living the dream. So get as much as you can there, and then when you get back home, you're a better fighter. You're a more evolved fighter, and yeah, I took that on board, and I'm like, okay, sweet. Just keep working on my craft. You know, I came to the country as more of a defensive fighter, and then I had to learn to be an aggressive fighter, and then I learned to be defensive and aggressive. You know, so yeah, that was my evolution. You know, building myself up. So as much as as much as the results may not have gone my way, my skills were getting there.
Yeah, I fully understand the way they are over this part of the world. They're kind of nationalistic, firstly, and then also there's a lot of connections that they really care about as well. Like they're very connected with each other and working as a group. One of my amateur guys that I trained fought over here, and he won the fight. But the guy that won is the guy that's connected to the sponsor. So how he can lose, you know, like you said, if he gets through the fight, he's going to win.
Yep.
You know, this is just how it is over there, right? But interesting how your style kind of evolved, and again, as a person evolving as well. Like when I think about you saying that you weren't confident, etc. When you see now, the blood diamond in the ring is not a not confident person. Is an aggressive fighting style, very confident fighting style. So it's good to see that part of your story, right? That you start out as someone that wanted to build yourself up, and now look at the persona you are inside and outside of the ring. It's amazing, right?
Yeah, definitely. It's a growing. It was a growing thing, you know. Like, yeah,
and
that's growth. Yeah.
Man, one thing I've been listening to you, and everyone seems to ask you, where does the blood diamond name come from? And I'm just not happy with the story. So I'm going to present what I think it should be. I think that when someone asks you, where does the name blood diamond come from? I think it should be like, some people might not know, but when I was young, we had nothing. I had to work in a diamond mine to survive. You know, I found a diamond and I hid it in my ass and I stole it. And that was how I funded my trip to New Zealand, bro, to come and learn from the best. Eugene Bareman at CKV, man. I think you have to create some sort of story in there, bro. It's not good enough to say, someone called me. I don't even know why. Come on, bro. Make the story. Come on, make a story up next time someone asks you. You should change the story every time someone asks you and make it interesting, I reckon.
I might try. I'll have to. Yeah, I'll try I'll think of a good story, because that one you just said, it's close to another MMA fighter who an actual Zimbabwean fighter who, he's got basically the story you told. That's what he did, but he's still in Africa. I think he's in South Africa now. But I'll think of one. There was one I used to say, you know, because I couldn't be bothered answering people, but like, why blood diamond? I'm like, I'm as hard as Diamond, and I leave people a bloody mess.
That's a better one, better than nothing.
Yeah, maybe I'll keep that one going. Yeah, that's the new story. Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, did you ever know there was a good fighter over this way in Hong Kong a while back called Vusi? Do you know that guy, Vusi Colosser or something like this? I can't remember the last name. He was
Was it in Hong Kong?
Yeah, in Hong Kong, but he fought around
Yes.
China as well, I believe. Yeah.
Yes, I think so. I think there was a time I went to Hong Kong and I sparred someone. I think it was him. I'm sure we sparred once. I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure. Because one of my friends, Arthur, he calls himself the Black Dragon. He took me there just for, he was getting ready for a fight. So that was one of the places he was training to, helping him with preparations. And yeah, I got to spar him. Yeah, it was quite interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool, man. Hey, in another interview again, I heard you talking about Ngannou and Izzy, and saying they were asking, someone was asking like what it's like to be around these guys and training with them, and I liked your answer that that you're training with them, and they're just humans that operate at a high level, and like you said, you're a human too, man, and
Yeah.
it kind of means that we all have the potential, right? That these guys aren't extraterrestrial, right? They're just human. So you have the potential to be at the level of these guys. You're on your way there. Is that the kind of message you meant?
Yeah, like honestly, like if I punch Ngannou in the right spot, I can hurt him. But I'm not saying it in like, yeah, I cannot. I'm just saying, like if I do it, I can hurt him. And same with Iz, and it just shows, yeah, they're humans. But all they just did was focus on their craft and made it better and just worked real hard on it. It's not like these guys went into, I don't know, a magical well in Wakanda and drank out of it and became our superheroes. No,
Yeah.
no. We are all given the same 24 hours in a day. It's just the way we, how we use that 24 hours. So they dedicated it to their training. I've done the same thing. So, it just shows you anyone can get to that stage. You just need to keep pushing. Just don't give up. Yeah.
I came down to the CKB gym once before, man. I just had a quick holiday down there, and back then I had a small connection with Dan Hooker, so I just messaged him and I came down to watch him training at CKB, and I watched the class. I trained in the corner while one of the classes was up. Awesome feeling in the gym, and such a lot of people there training, and you can see a high level of talent just in the sparring class. You had like maybe 40 people sparring or something, and amongst it all, the skill level was nice and high. And when you're talking about Izzy, he always mentions that he got some licks in the sparring and training with you guys, right? I'm imagining that you're one of the guys that gives him some punishment here and there too, man. How do you go with Izzy out of interest? Like, how do you feel in there with him when you're rolling, or when you're sparring with him?
This is a thing. Like when me and him are sparring, we're constantly learning off each other. Me and him have been training for more than a decade, right? Me and him have been in China together. So you can imagine if we work together and we get to know each other's like weaknesses and strengths, and like, yeah, we're always bringing something new. So he will catch me with something. I'm just like, oh damn, how did you do that? Okay, cool. I'm like, sweet. He might catch me a few times. I learn what he's doing, and then eventually I will be able to defend it, and then I'm gonna catch him with something. So at the moment, like, no, it's just been a tennis game. Yeah, a long ass rally. He hits it, I hit it back, and that's what it's been. And same goes with everyone, to be honest. Um, everyone has a different look. So and we basically force each other to get better. You know, I think that would have been working a month ago might not work today, but you know that it forces you to have to find the next thing that's gonna work, and vice versa. You know, and yeah, so it's like it's a knife sharpening a knife. So we're just evolving together, getting better together. So yeah, it's quite it's exciting. It's fun. And another thing I like about our gym is there's no pride. Okay, there is not pride. We just like people know what I'm good at, and I know what they're good at, and we are learning off each other and making each other better. You know, so yeah,
It's great stuff, man. That's great.
It's an evolution, man. It's yeah, we all evolving.
That's great. Great dynamic in the relationship between you and the other fighters. And then, yeah, it's a great feeling at the gym anyway. Yeah, definitely all working together to evolve together, right? It's good. Hey, just on the last sort of point, I don't want to keep you too long, man. But on the UFC, you know, people talking about you. Chael Sonnen even is talking about Blood Diamond. What are your plans, man? What are your feelings about going in the UFC?
Man, all I can do is do what I do best, and is just be as active as I can. Okay, I really enjoy the competition. Okay, it drives me to keep wanting more. Like my ideal scenario will be use all my 4-fight contract, like all the 4 fights in 1 year. That's ideal. Okay, and yeah, of course, winning so that I can get another contract. So yeah, that's what I'm looking forward to. You know, I mean, yeah, it's UFC, right? It's the biggest platform, but I guess the way I'm going in there, like my mentality is just like how I've been doing it all this time. It is a big platform, but you know, honestly, Orion, I'm fighting him in the UFC, but I could have been fighting him in, I don't know, in China or in a small local show in New Zealand. You know, that should not have, like, way I'm fighting him should not affect how I'm fighting. Okay. All I gotta do right now is just work my ass off, train hard, and like there was a piece of advice I got given by Kamaru Usman because one of the New Zealanders reporters, I had an interview and I was talking to him. He's just like, oh, what advice do you have for this upcoming fighter? And you know, I'm like, when he said it, I'm just like, you know, he's right. All he said is, when you train, make sure you go all in, do not leave any stone unturned. And I'm like, okay, cool. What does that mean? I do all I can, put it like just go hard. And then when I'm in the cage, I'm just gonna do everything I can, you know, like this is my goal is when I'm in that cage, at the end of it, when the final bell rings, I want to be still happy with my performance. Okay. That's what I want to be. Like, I don't want to be like, oh shit, I could have done this. I should have done that. I would have done that. You know, I want to be like, oh yeah, I've done all I could. But he was the better man that night. Or I am the better man every night. Or, you know, I just need, at the end of the day, I want to be happy with all I've done. And yeah, leave everything in the ring. Okay, so that's it. Go big, go hard, or go home. That's how I'm entering. That's the mindset I'm going in with.
That's awesome, man. And that's a great way to, I think, end up our chat. And just to let No, man, obviously our part of the world, New Zealand, Australia, we're all hoping for big things from you. We're all wishing you the best, and I hope to see that your UFC debut and your 4 fights that you mentioned on the first part of the contract are successful.
Man.
We'll be tuning in, man. And thanks so much for sharing part of your story. And it's really great to talk to you, man. So thanks for your time, man.
Nah, thanks, man. Yeah, I appreciate it.